Hey everyone, welcome to my first ever do-it-yourself European deer skull mount I've ever done. I always wanted to do it, so I decided I'm gonna do it. So I don't know if you can guess which one of these I did. Well, if you guessed this one right here, you are exactly correct. I don't know if you can tell in the video the difference in this one versus all these other ones, but there is a slight yellowish tint to like this one and also this one. If you hold them next to each other. These are also my older ones, I guess you'd say. But they definitely have a yellowish tint to them. I don't remember if that's just over time. This is one of my more recent, this was last year's one. Definitely is whiter than these two. Not quite as white as the one I just did. Maybe that's due to I just did it and it's fresh. I know they were beetles, all three of these, except for mine. And they were probably dipped in peroxide or something like that because there was a different finish on these two compared to these two. These two have like a, or these two here have like a kind of a shiny, smooth looking finish to it. These two here are almost like they're whiter for sure. And they look powderier, I guess. They're not powdery, but there's a different texture, different look to them. And they're definitely shine much brighter, much whiter. So here is how I did my European skull mount. These are the tools I used. First of all, there's about 1 million European skull mount videos out there on the internet. So thank you to each and every one of those to allow me to put together my method of skull mounts. I kind of combined a whole bunch of different ones and did my own methods. They all did the research and trial and error, and then I put them together, and I kind of picked and chose a little bit of each one to thought, oh, that's a good idea, that's a good idea. This is what I did. I left the hair on way too long. Don't do that. That took a little bit longer than I wanted to remove it all, which I use the regular knife, fillet knife, but what helped the most is I bought one of these like I don't know what this is, like a little scalpel thing. Also, there's a whole bunch of different knives out there. They're real cheap. These are all from Menards, but this one is extremely sharp. It replaceable blades, but that one helped probably the most to get around the tight little corners and stuff. Got it off as best as I could off the skull. Boiled water in the turkey cooker with Dawn dish soap and a liberal amount. I used a lot of it. Boiled it for an hour and a half or whatever. Pulled it out. Pulled off as much as I could. The forceps worked great into the nostril area, into the eye sockets, anywhere I could get and attach and pull it out. Worked really good. I also used the needle nose pliers, but I also used these. These were really cheap at Menards too. They were just a pack of looks like dental tools, all different angles and stuff, but I use these a lot to get in all them little nooks and crannies. They work great. Boiled it again, and then every once in a while I take it off with, there's a pack of brushes I got. Some of these aren't too abrasive, but they really cleaned it up too really good, and I don't notice many cut marks on the skull from my knife, from trimming all the stuff off of it. I noticed on a couple of my other ones there's some slices in the skull. You can see the knife marks, but I don't see any on this one, so I don't think these brushes were too abrasive. Scraping on it with this stuff didn't seem to matter. Worked really good. I cleaned out the water, drained all the water out of the pot, put a fresh pot in there. Then I put OxyClean in there, which I've learned with the OxyClean, you don't need that much. The first time we did it, we put a whole cup in, I think. It boiled over all over the place. So we turned it down, dumped it out, started over, just put a little fraction of the bottom of the dip thing that's in there, and that was plenty. But we let that boil for a couple hours, and that seemed to really start to whiten it up. We did tape up the skull, hence the saran wrap to wrap around the burrs here, the electrical tape to keep it on there. I think we used duct tape too to wrap it up even more, because I had heard this will bleach your antlers too. Didn't seem to bother them at all. But we boiled it that second time with the OxyClean, and that really cleaned it up. I took every little scrap off I couldn't get off after me scraping and picking in between boils. It was kind of tedious, but I think if I'd have let it boil longer, it might have worked better. I wasn't sure, so I would take it out every hour and a half or so pick off what I could. I didn't use a power washer at all. Brought it in the sink a couple times. I snuck it in the sink. Well, his mom didn't know. And rinsed it off real nice. Kind of scrubbed it a little bit with my brushes. It was fine. It wasn't like the sink was full of crap or anything. It worked out just great. I bought the Salon Care 40 Volume Cream that everybody's been using. Apparently you can use just this by itself, which works just fine. But then I see some other videos where they mixed with the powder in with it too. And they said if you really want it white, that's what you want to do. Even the hair salons where I bought this ad said, yeah, that's what you got to do. A friend of theirs has this, friend of theirs, you know, they recommended it. So I just mixed it half and half until you get to a consistency that you want. Painted it on the skull. We had fun doing that. We used some paint brushes, but I don't have those here, Parker. You're supposed to get those here.
We threw those away.
Just bought some cheap little paint brushes, and we just gooped it on there. And that's what I used this pan for. Set that in there, gooped it in there, every possible orifice, poured it in there, just to painted every entire little thing. And then we took it and wrapped it in saran wrap, laid out a piece, folded it over. It's all in the video. I don't know why I'm explaining this all right now. Taped it all up nice just to keep it from drying out, because there was actually a spot on the antler right here that the saran wrap didn't cover, and that was all powder like right away within hours. The rest of it all stayed creamy white and like milky, like liquid, you know, and I think it stayed on the antlers and just soaked into it. So maybe that's why this turned out so white, because maybe a combination of all these methods, but it is my whitest set of antlers I have right now. And couldn't be happier with it because we did it ourselves. One other problem is, because I was kind of getting lazy, I don't know what happened. I did break off the two side pieces here, this middle piece, and that was it. But we colored them separately in a little, and then wrapped them in some saran wrap, and then I just super glued them back on. Never even know the difference. It dried a little bit more than I wanted to. This cracked a little bit down here, but I kind of like it actually. I don't know. The other ones I noticed there's a little bit of cracks here and there that I have, but this one a little bit wider, but looks pretty dang good to me. Parker likes it too. Parker loves it. I don't know if it's right or not, but I know this is pretty white, right? White is right.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoy the video. Alright, to start the process, here's the buck I got during the gun season, the last day of the season, last minute of the season. But seeing that I'm a huge procrastinator, I did not obviously take the skin off the head, which I probably recommend doing right away, because this thing stinks really bad. And it's been sitting in my garage, so it's not like it's been sitting out here rotting. It's been frozen kind of, but I'm not looking forward to this part, but I'm gonna get cutting on it. So seeing that's a little stiff and yeah, it's pretty gross. I'm gonna blast it with the old Remington 60,000 BTU turbo heater. Get all loosened up a little bit, and that should really make it stink really good. Yeah. Alright, I had it in front of the turbo heater for a half hour or so, and it did loosen it all up nice. I'm gonna start cutting. So I think I've been cutting on this for over an hour. It's not too bad. It's pretty red in some of these spots. I left a lot of stuff on there because I'm gonna boil it now, and I want to see how well that actually loosens that up and takes it off. I didn't take the brains out yet. I'm gonna work on that now. But I did see something online, a video. There's tons of videos out there on this, but a guy put an air hose in there and with a bag over it and actually blew the brains right out of it. It was pretty slick. So I'm gonna see if that works. If it doesn't work, then I'll just dig them out, I guess. So I got some plastic bags wrapped around it to lock the air in, I guess. I'm gonna stick it in the brain cavity, see what happens. Oh! A little sloppy, but it kind of worked. I think these brains are a little soft, so maybe that's not why, but once I get it boiling, I think it should loosen the rest of it up, but it got a lot of it out. Wasn't as good as the video I saw on YouTube, but it works if I know how to do it right. All right, it's starting to simmer now. I turned it down a little bit, so I'm gonna put them in. Then everybody says to add the dish soap, the Dawn dish soap as a degreaser. Get all that oil and blood and grease and everything out of that skull bone and clean it. as best as possible. So I'm going to be pretty liberal with it, I guess. Can't have too much. Then we'll just let that simmer for a couple hours probably, at least. But I'm going to probably take it out multiple times, scrape on it, put it back in. I just got to watch it so it doesn't get too hot. They say if it gets too warm, then the bones can get brittle. I also got Parker's spike this year from gun season opening day. We're just going to get it put on a plaque by the guy we know that does all our plaques for us. But I'll probably just put it in there and clean it up for him. I guess it'll save him some work. So might as well, as long as we're boiling antlers. Alright, it's been boiling for like an hour and 20 minutes. I've been scraping on Parker's rack and actually cleaned up really nice. All the little stuff came off. The hardest part's like the burrs here, but this kind of pulling on it once in a while, but it's looking pretty good. I might pull it out and try and yank off some of this stuff because it's pretty loose already. It's falling off pretty nice, but yeah, it's looking good so far. Doesn't look like it's too red. That's the part I was kind of worried about with it, the hide being on the skull so long that there would be some discoloration in the skull, but it's looking pretty good. I could figure out what the smell is when I was scraping on this one, and I figured it out that it's crab legs. It smells like crab legs, and it kind of seems like you're picking meat out of a crab legs, but that's the smell I got out of it. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it's just me. Crab legs. It smells like crab legs, and it kind of seems like you're picking meat out of a crab legs, but that's the smell I got out of it. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it's just me. Alright, here he is. I'm going to start picking at this thing and try and clean him up a little bit, pull big chunks off, and then I can put them back in. Alright, I've been scraping on it for a while. Got a pretty good start. Blew it out a little bit with the air hose and the brains and stuff. There's still a bunch in there. This back part needs a lot of work yet, but for the most part, there's a little bit down there. I'm going to put it back in the water and boil it for another hour or so, maybe longer, and see if all that little stuff just falls off. But for the most part, it's starting to look pretty good. Doesn't stink as bad as I thought, so we'll keep going. So I got it boiled or simmering again. Added some more dish soap. I had to add a little more water because it's evaporating, but I've been kind of picking on the edges of this while it's in the water. It seems to be working pretty good. I also got a bunch of these small brushes, wire brushes. There's different, there's more coarse ones. So they ain't too bad, but they've been working pretty good too to loosen stuff up, and then I just let it in the water. But I noticed it's been working pretty good to kind of work on it in the pot a little bit too. And that stuff loosens up, I pull it off, and it's looking pretty good. We'll let it boil for a while yet and see if I can get it cleaned up. I'm trying to avoid power washing it. It's 20-some degrees out, it's January, and I'd rather not get the power washer out because I got to put away for the winter, and it just looks like a mess. So I'm going to try to do it like this. I think I should be able to clean it off pretty good without a power washer. Alright, it's been about another hour and a half. I've been scraping on and stuff. There's some stuff on the back here. It's not coming off very well, but for the most part, pretty much everything is off. Might be a little bit in the snout there yet. A couple chunks here and there. I'm going to scrape on a little bit, but I'm going to let this cool down. I'm going to dump this water out because it's just terrible. There's so much crap in there, and then rinse this off a little bit. Then I'm going to fill this back up and put OxyClean in it. I think I'm going to wrap the antlers so they don't get bleached, and then I'll finish the boil in the OxyClean. So like I said, I'm not going to use the power washer at all, and I should be able to get it clean just in the sink here, and by boiling it again in the OxyClean. But it doesn't look too bad. A little discoloration in there, but I think that'll come out once it gets bleached. This part you probably want to avoid doing when your wife is home. She probably wouldn't like cleaning a deer skull in your sink, but she's at work, so I can I can do this and she'll never know. Alright, I got Parker today. Now this is the next day. We have the water boiling. We gotta add the OxyClean. We're gonna put OxyClean in there, so I wrapped the antlers this time because I heard the OxyClean will actually will bleach them too. There's a little bit of bleach in there, but did the best I can. A lot of the videos, if you get some on those burrs or whatever, you can take some oil or stain and color it back up, but do whatever you can so it doesn't get on the antler, or just be careful. But it came out pretty good so far. It scratched off the rest of the junk I could find in there, but I can't see anything majorly. I mean, a couple little scraggler pieces here and there, but after this last boil with this OxyClean, I think that should take care of the rest, and doesn't look too bad. This nose piece is a little loose. There, pop back in, but I guess I could glue that. Otherwise, everything else, of course, you lose some of the stuff in there because it's just too much cartilage to get around. The beetles, I guess, would be the best way to do it to preserve that part, because the beetles eat every little inch of it. But this is pretty easily so far. Takes a little time, but now we're gonna add it. Let's add the OxyClean in there. Okay. All right, I got a new fresh pot of water. From yesterday's. It was pretty gross in there. It was in there. Parker's gonna add just a tiny bit of the OxyClean. Go ahead, put that in there. It's starting to. It's not at a boil yet, but it's starting to get there. So I don't want to get it too crazy. Oh, it's mixing up nice. And we're just gonna submerge it in there. Now we'll let that probably sit for a couple hours, huh?
Yeah.
I gotta watch the temperature here I don't want it to get boiling hot. I want it just to simmer, I guess. I've had it in here for almost 3 hours now. I checked it once in a while and it's starting to look pretty good. I think it's pretty much done. Let's pull her out, Parker. Yeah, I think it's all good, huh? I don't see anything. Even inside there where there was a little bit of stuff is all completely gone. I think we'll blow it off and then I'll take it inside and rinse it off. And then we'll go to the next step. Alright, Mom's vacuuming quick. She'll never know we're doing this. She gets pissed.
What?
So, what? I'm just doing dishes. Just doing dishes. So we're just gonna rinse her off a little here. I didn't really see anything inside. Do the old squirter in there, just in case.
I won't let Mom know.
So here we go, our final step. When I was drying this off and blowing it out in the sink, it actually did crack off these two nose pieces. So I'm just gonna whiten them on their own in the mixture, and then we'll glue it on afterwards. It sounds like that happens a lot. This top piece is a little loose. I was worried about that, and I was kind of careless when I was monkeying around, and I actually grabbed this end and broke it off. But they're fine. I'll just glue them back on. No teeth came off. There was one that was a little loose somewhere, but it stayed on. And I don't see anything else, anything in the cavity or nothing. So I think it cleaned it up pretty good. It's kind of white already just from the OxyClean, but I think we'll do this. That's what everybody's been using, is the Salon 40, and some people use just this, and I guess it works just fine, but we're gonna mix it with the powder too, and paste it, or make a paste out of it and put it on. It's kind of funny, I went to 2 different salon stores for these, and each one, when I walked in and got this one, she's like, let me guess, you're gonna do a deer antlers. I'm like, yeah, how'd you guess? And then I went to a different one, she said the same thing. She said they're getting just tons of people coming in and using this for the whitening their skulls. So I guess the stuff works pretty good. So we're gonna mix up the paste, and then I'll just paint it on and over this, and then we'll wrap it up in saran wrap and let it sit for a day, 2 days, 3 days. I don't know. I guess whatever. But wrap it up in saran wrap so it doesn't get dried out, and then we'll just clean it off afterwards, and then we'll see. Cross our fingers. This might work. So we're just gonna. A little bit of that. That stuff's thicker than I thought it was. Huh? Put like a scoop of it in there maybe. And then we'll just mix it up till we get like a paste that'll stick on there nice. Yeah, a little more. Put another scoop. This is what the girls put on their hair.
Yeah, no.
And then they wrap tinfoil on the edges. You ever see those?
Yeah, that's how you
That's
color
kind of so it doesn't dry out. I think that's why they do it. And they sit there and they gossip. Hi, Margaret. How are you? Oh, the kids. Oh, I know. I heard. Huh? Did you hear about Jenny? Yeah, I know. Ooh. Huh? Let's add another cup of that. It's a little runny yet. All right. I think this looks good. It's kind of like almost like Elmer's glue, right? And now we're just gonna start brushing it on with the two brushes into every little crevice. All right, just kind of start getting it on there. You can do a heavy. Just start in the corners and just get it in there. Yeah. Get all
do you
in
need
there.
to boil it one more time?
No, boiling's done. Here. Go like this even. Dump some of that in there.
Yeah, the smaller ones are better for getting in
For in
those.
those crevices, yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna get way in there. It's amazing how many crevices and orifices and holes are in a deer skull once you start trying to get all the meat out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was unreal. But that's where this dental office type stuff. I bought these at Menards. They worked really good for getting in. There's like 5 or 6 different ones. 5 or 6 different ones, and they all we use like 3 or 4 of them just to get in them, all them little holes and nooks and crannies and orifices.
Orifices? Yeah.
So Parker, how is sports going at school? Got a girlfriend? Alright, so we have every crevice of this thing done very, very liberally. I did break off another nose piece, this middle piece, which I knew was going to break off, so we'll just let that sit in this pan here, or maybe we'll wrap it separately with these 2 pieces we got to do yet, but I think I got everything done. Huh? Very liberal. So we'll let's get her wrapped up. That was easy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's so let's get it so it won't dry out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it stays moist down there and soaks into that bone. It's all covered nice. I don't think I have anything on the antlers. My hand's a little. Here's some in the bag. All right, there you have it. We have it all wrapped up, painted up. We got the little pieces for the nose in there. Now we'll just let it sit for as long as we want, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Day, 10 days, a year? Probably not a year. All right, we'll get back to you when we unwrap it, see what it looks like. All right, so now we're 4 days later of letting it sit in the, what is that stuff, that 40 volume, whatever, hair care product stuff. And looking through the bag, it looks very white, right? Mm-hmm. It's still a little bit of liquid floating around in here, but we're gonna take all this off, rinse it off, and see what she looks like. It looks pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
Looks very white. Yeah, we'll just get this out of the way, set that back down. We'll take here's the pieces of the nose that we gotta glue back on. But yeah, I think we rinsed that off. Looks awesome, huh? Looks very white.
Yeah.
Very white. You can see it dried here where the paper or the saran wrap wasn't on it, but that's very white. So this should all dry nicely once we see it's all dust falling off when it dries.
Yeah.
This is all just got to get rinsed off basically because it's just like clumps of stuff.
Oh, it's still recording.
Yeah.
Me and Parker figured out a way how to
Alright, we got it all cleaned off, and now it has to dry a little bit. You can tell it's starting to get a little whiter where it's drying here. It just kind of, I just placed the nose back together. I got to glue that back in yet once it completely dries, but it looks very clean and very white.
Yeah.
This is the first one we ever did, and kind kind of looks good. I can see where it's drying. It looks really white in there. Up in here is a little bit of yellow in that where those bones come together, and we didn't have any we didn't wreck any of the coloration in the burrs or nothing there, so just gotta clean it off a little bit of white on there. Yeah, let's let it sit for a while and dry really good, and then we'll glue it. So here is my finished product. I have it all cleaned up. I glued the nose back on, which looks like it's pretty good. The nose right here in the center cracked a little bit. That split a little, but from drying. But after it completely dried, this is the whitest skull that I have of all of our skulls. I don't know if it's just because it's fresh and clean and it's like a newer one, and maybe it fades after time, but this definitely is much whiter compared to the other skulls that I have. But it turned out pretty good. Definitely when you use the beetles, you can get more, you can save more of this cartilage and this material that's in the nose here. Other than that, that's the only advantage. It's less intrusive using the beetles versus boiling it and using the method that we did. So I want to thank everybody for making the videos over the years on how to do a European mount, because I wouldn't have been able to do it without the info that I gained from YouTube. So I got this deer the last day of our 9-day gun season here in Wisconsin. And this is all possible because we
went outdoors.
Good job, fellas.
Cut!
Cut!
Yeah,